Well, the government will begin trialling military-style boot camps for young offenders from the middle of the year. The crackdown is part of the coalition government's 100-day plan. It'll be led by Oranga Tamariki and target youth offenders who commit violent and destructive crimes. Minister for Children Karen Shaw joins us for more. Good morning, Karen.
Good morning. How are you today?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for joining us. Can you just explain who is going to be involved in the pilot program in terms of the age and the offences of the children?
Yes, so right now we're developing a pilot program of a military-style academy, and this is to wrap around young people who come to the courts with repeat offences and end up within a youth justice facility. So currently this will be a pilot with around 10 young people, working with multiple agencies to wrap around them and create a program that will help them in every area of their lives, so that once they come out of this facility, they're better off than when they went in.
In terms of the times that this has been tried in the past, there was an 8-week program that the previous national government brought in. The reoffending rate was 83% when they came out. What reoffending rate are you going to be comfortable with to say, okay, this program has worked?
Look, right now, all I'm concentrating on is making sure that we get this program right and we get enough people involved with the skills that we need to make sure that the program works. Why these programs didn't work in the past and why this is different is we're going to make sure that we're working with the family and working with the community that that young person is going to return to, because we can't just send them back to the same environment they came from and expect a different result.
Do you think that's what was happening?
Revolving door.
Do you think that's what was happening last time?
I don't think there was a correct support network once they left these programs, and I've heard it from a few programs that are running now currently within the communities, that they struggle once they go back into the same environment that they came from. And it's the same as when coming out of a youth justice facility with no program at all. We need to make sure that these young people have the care and the wraparound services once they leave this program, and work with the family and take the family on the journey too, because this is not just about the young person. These young people are committing crimes out in the community. They're creating victims. They're hurting other people. We have an obligation to keep that young person safe, but we also have an obligation to keep the community safe. And what we're focusing on right now as a government is serious youth crime, because youth crime is out of control in communities. Everyone you talk to knows that there is a problem with youth crime. This is just another tool to work with to help these young people turn their lives around.
The agency that is going to be leading this is Oranga Tamariki. Now, we spoke with you just recently when the Ombudsman released a report into Oranga Tamariki, which was damning. It was calling for a complete overhaul of the agency. Is this the right organisation to be leading something as important as this when they have so much on their plate already?
But I've said this before, I can't control what happened in the past with Oranga Tamariki. That report was prior to me becoming minister. I've set my expectations for the organisation and what I expect from them, and I expect to see better going forward. I am excited to be leading this program with Oranga Tamariki and other agencies around the table. We're working with Defence, we're working with police, we're working with corrections. We're working with community organisations that know how to deal with these young people in the communities to make sure we get a well-rounded program. This has to be about making sure that these young people have another tool to turn their lives around. We can't just give up on them, stick them in there and then expect them to change. We need to give them some tools and skills and self-esteem to come out knowing that they can be better.
But Minister, I'm not saying that you were certainly responsible or working with Oranga Tamariki when the behaviour that the Ombudsman was talking about was happening. But wouldn't you agree that now they have a very big task on their hands in terms of turning that around, turning the treatment of young people around, and now you're also giving them another job?
Yeah. I have to agree, it's a big job. There's lots of work to do. I'm setting my expectations on the Chief of Staff, on Chappie Takani, to make sure that he understands what I want him to do. It's been an absolute pleasure working with Chappie and hearing his ideas as well.
And
but
how
I have
are you
set
going
my
to...
expectations.
And how are you going to measure the success of that and step in so that what we've seen with Oranga Tamariki in the past doesn't happen again with this program, where children are actually let down when they should be getting cared for?
Yeah, that's why I'm making sure that there are multiple organisations around the table, not just government organisations either. This is community organisations. We'll be working with iwi, we'll be working with NGOs that are on the ground in the community of where that young person is, to make sure that they do have that support so that we can all work together to make that young person's life better.
Minister for Children, Karen Shaw, thank you so much for your time on AM this morning.
Let's hear from someone who's dedicated his life and opened his own wallet to helping vulnerable young people get on the right track. A youth development worker, Aaron Henry, joins us now. That interview there with the Minister, does that fill you with confidence?
No. I mean, I'm incredibly concerned that, in the current climate, both in the cost of living crisis and just the realities we're facing in the community, that we're investing significant resource into a program that we know doesn't have an evidence base. In fact, there's actually decades of evidence showing that military-style camps are ineffective. And in the small spaces where there is some outcomes, it's often very, it's short-lived, and it's because of that therapeutic support with evidence showing that the military-style actually works against the outcomes that we're trying to achieve. So the big question is, why are we pushing ahead with this?
Yeah, I mean, that is the question, because the evidence shows that when the last government did it, it was like 80% failure rate, right? 80% went on to re-offend. Are these ones going to be any different? Oranga Tamariki is running that. What do you make of that?
Look, the style of camp which has been discussed here has been trialled internationally as well. Again, putting that counselling services and wraparound supports, that's exactly what we need. It's the military side and the philosophy that kind of underpins that has shown to be ineffective. It's great to say we're going to be working with communities when they come out, but there's going to be needing to be significant investment into mental health services, into disability services, into ensuring that young people have the right to housing and that whānaus are getting really intensive support. And right now we're not seeing that significant investment. The drivers of these crimes, the drivers of the harm being caused are in our communities. It's poverty, it's homelessness, it's the lack of support for whānau who have kids with disabilities and high-level mental illness. If we're not going to address that stuff, it does not matter what we pour into the justice system. We continue to have poor outcomes for our people. And it is the victims. There's those people who are being harmed right now, and I want to acknowledge them and the harm that they have experienced. But they are being sold something that is not going to cause a good outcome for them. It's not going to fix the problem.
You've mentioned those with disabilities and mental health illnesses. Are they going to be sent off to boot camps?
They are being sent into the justice system as we speak. A lot of these children, these young people we are talking about, are young people who have had lifetimes of trauma, who have disabilities, who are mentally unwell, who, and in some cases, have come through the care system. And this is the crazy thing, when we talk about coming through the care system, it means that the state is their parent, and their parent has been irresponsible and has failed to care for them and look after them in a way that we think parents should look after them. And now, as a result, those kids have caused harm in the community because of everything going on, and we're going to punish them further rather than responding to our own failure to care for them.
There's something like the Vanguard Military Academy that was part of the charter school setup, so it's not really a boot camp, but it's similar to having the military themes. Did those that worked, right? That had quite a good success rate. It's
really important for us to recognise, especially when it comes to what we're talking about around, high levels of trauma and harm. When we're thinking from a youth development perspective, what works is choice, So if a young person is choosing to go into a program like Vanguard or LSV or whatever, there is far more likely it's going to be successful. We don't have that within this program. Young people are going to be forced into an environment that may not be conducive to their needs, will not be responding necessarily.
They'll have resentment.
Resentment, potentially. Also, we need to wrestle with the reality that a lot of these children do have significant trauma, and that does have a significant impact on a person's ability, on a child's ability to make healthy decisions. And if we are not actually understanding that and then responding to that and creating therapeutic healing environments, then we're not going to be successful.
People will say, well, that's been tried and tested, the wraparound services and all that hasn't worked. Let's just give boot camps a go again?
Well, it hasn't been tried or tested, right? So right now, these children we're talking about do not have sufficient support or care in our communities. In fact, we talk a lot about personal responsibility, but I think we need to take a step back and start having a conversation around what our collective responsibility is for these children, because we have failed them. They have grown up in situations where they have not been cared for, where, at a societal level, we have not ensured there's the right environment for children to grow up in safe homes, have stable housing, have food on the table, even get the support they need to cope with things that they have no control over, a mental illness, a disability that they were born with or that's occurred because of some abuse and harm in their life. We haven't looked after those kids. We've left them to themselves when they have then made choices that have caused harm in our communities after themselves being victims often first. We haven't cared for them. They've caused harm, and now we want to punish them further. We need to look in the mirror as a country and say, what are we doing that these kids are in this situation? No child gets in a car and drives into a building for no reason. That is not a sane, rational thing for a child to do. And if we really care about these kids, and if we really care about our communities, we're going to start doing something different. And the crazy different thing we could do is actually deal with what's going on in our communities, address poverty, address homelessness, ensure that our whānau and our communities have what they need just to live basic healthy lives.
Thank you very much, Aaron. I appreciate you coming in the studio. We need to get you in for a longer form interview because there's a lot of passion there, and I want to hear more about your what you're doing personally as well.
Thank you.
That is youth development worker Aaron Hendry.